The Middle East, a region carved by oil, ancient pride, and a hunger for power. But beneath every headline, every airstrike, every round of failed diplomacy, one rivalry burns hotter than the rest. The United States and Iran. Two nations that have never fought a declared war and have never truly stopped fighting. It didn't start with missiles. It started with a coup. In 1953, the US and Britain quietly removed Iran's democratically elected prime minister from power. The Iranians never forgot. Then came 1979, revolution, hostages, and the permanent severing of diplomatic ties. Two nations locked in mutual suspicion ever since. For decades, the conflict lived in the shadows. Proxy wars, covert operations, sanctions that squeezed ordinary Iranians while their government pushed forward, especially on one ambition that kept Washington up at night: nuclear capability. In 2015, a landmark deal offered a fragile hope. 3 years later, the U.S. walked away. The tensions that diplomacy had briefly contained began quietly building again, like pressure behind a sealed door. Sanctions returned. The economy buckled. By 2025, multiple rounds of talks in Geneva and Oman ended without agreement. Both sides spoke, but neither blinked. In June 2025, the waiting ended. The U.S. and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, a direct, unmistakable message. The shadow war had finally stepped into the light. Iran answered fast. Missiles and drones rained down on American bases across the region. Then came February 2026, Operation Epic Fury, a massive joint U.S. Israeli air campaign reportedly killed Iran's supreme leader and senior military commanders. Iran retaliated hard. Gulf states hosting American forces found themselves inside the blast radius of a war they hadn't chosen. Missiles hit U.S. assets. Israeli targets were struck. The war footprint was widening. The United Nations called for restraint. World leaders scrambled to understand just how far this could go, as global alarm grew louder with every passing hour. Oil prices spiked, markets trembled. The economic shockwave rippled far beyond the Middle East, felt in fuel pumps, trading floors, and household budgets worldwide. This isn't simply a story about weapons or ideology. It's about what happens when decades of grievance go unresolved, when mistrust becomes policy and history keeps repeating itself louder each time. Millions of ordinary people now live inside the consequences of decisions made in distant capitals. The world watches, counts the strikes, and holds its breath, wondering whether this is another chapter or the final one.